Hey, good morning. Randy Gear here for Old Guy on a Bike. Got a question for you guys. If you are riding a drop bar bicycle of some kind, whether that's road or gravel, just how big are your tires going to be in 2025 and beyond? That is what I'll be talking about on this Tech Tuesday edition. Coming right up. Now, to go back in history a little bit, when I started riding mountain bikes about 85 or 86, can't remember for sure. I think we had about maybe 1.9 inch wide tires. I don't remember anything being much wider than that right away. But remember, that was on a 26-inch wheel. It's not a very big wheel and tire combination, isn't it? But it was what we had and we were having a great time. But I remember when the Specialized 2.2 hard pack came out. Hard pack or hard pack 2? I know there was two tires. In any case, it was bigger and it was just like, yeah, I mean, we were so excited because, up here we were dragging our bikes on old trails and things that were kind of rough and kind of sandy. And that extra volume, when you had a rigid small wheel like that, I'll tell you what, we were pedaling in tall cotton. Now look at where we are now with mountain bikes. 29 by 2.3 to maybe 2.5 has kind of become the norm. Even 29 by 2.6, especially on something like some of the bigger, more powerful e-mountain bikes. That's a big tire. But there was a course correction along that path to a bigger mountain bike tire. If you remember 29 plus, which was 29 by 3.0. Now that did not have very long legs. In other words, it didn't last long in the industry. I got a chance to ride a 29.3 wheel and tire setup. And let me tell you, school children, the word for the day in the class is ponderous. It was a really big rolling thing. And for a trail bike, it wasn't very good. However, it did find its place in bike packing, and that's kind of where it lives in very, very small numbers. But there was a course correction. It went way out to 29.3 because if bigger is better, then bigger and bigger is even better and better, right? And then it really wasn't. And of course, we had the 27.5 plus era, 27.5 by 3.0, 27.5 by 2.8. And that was a little bit more legit, and I think that's still pretty vibrant in the bike packing world. But even for trail bikes, not really. We have settled in that sweet spot of that 29 by 2.3, 2.5. This is the front wheel off my Time 80HX road bike. On this Rolf Prima Aries 4 AR wheel, it's a 30 millimeter Specialized Turbo S tire, Turbo something, I don't know, Turbo S works. It measures at 32, at 60 pounds pressure, tubeless. That's a pretty poofy tire. I mean, look at that, right? Then you think, it's got to be slow, right? Well, is it? I watch a lot of videos. I talk to a lot of people. I experienced this tire. I'm telling you, it feels pretty darn fast. And we don't even really at this point with a big road tire, 30 or a 32, we don't even have to justify the fact that they're fast because the science has just completely proved the fact that a wider road tire at low pressures, especially if you can get it to match the rim profile fairly closely, that is fast. You are giving up very, very little in speed. You're gaining comfort, you're gaining cornering control, you're gaining the ability to, just hit potholes and things in the road and be less concerned about damaging something. It is really a win-win situation. And when you look at the pros, they have embraced wider tires as well. 28, 700 by 28, very common. 700 by 30 for maybe something like a cobbled classic. And those guys and gals, they don't do anything that doesn't make them faster because their job, their paycheck, their performance is on the line and they want to win. And if they're doing it, then you got to know it works, and it's certainly going to be fast enough for duffers like this old guy. But where's it going to end with road bikes? Well, I really don't know for sure. I don't have the answer. I don't have my crystal ball fired up. But I'll tell you, I think that sweet spot is going to end up being somewhere in that 32 and 34 for someone who is a little more casual about their pace. I think that's going to end up being the sweet spot. I've ridden gravel bikes with 700 by 36 and 38 fast tires. And to tell you what, if it's a fast type gravel bike, you get out on the road, they roll really, really well. But there has to be a point where the weight of the tire combined with the size of the tire into the wind, you're not going to match the rim width of a 38 millimeter gravel tire, at least not any technology that's running around right now. So at some point there's got to be a trade-off. Where that is for you depends, but I think for the general consensus for even a performance road bike, you're going to see 30s and 32s on there as the norm. And if you're a product manager for a company and you're making a fast racing road bike and it can't confidently handle a 32, you're off the back. Now this is the wheel off my gravel bike, my Turner Cyclosis. It's a 42 millimeter WTV Resolute. Measures out pretty darn close to 44 millimeter on these Easton rims. Now I like a kind of a big gravel tire. And gravel tires, gravel bikes are still in that formative stage. They're still trying to figure out what they are and what's the sweet spot for performance on a gravel bike. You know, at first, when you see someone coming from the road especially, and they come to a gravel bike, they're like, oh, I want like a 700 by 35 or a 38 because I don't want it to be slow. And they're out there getting beat up with that tiny little tire, and it feels fast in some circumstances. But what they're finding out, just like on the road bikes, further and further you get into the dirt and the faster and faster you go, a bigger and bigger tire at lower and lower pressures is just faster. It's faster in the dirt. It's faster when it's actually rough out there. Now, I'm not necessarily talking the Belgian waffle ride type of thing that we have in California where there's a lot of fast road riding, maybe not for that. But for something like Mid-South that just happened or Unbound, if you watch, like I do, a lot of videos or you read articles from the people that are at the pointy end of the spear in gravel racing, they are moving quickly toward bigger and bigger tires, bigger than this, 44s, 45s. There's even talk of 750s, like this WTB Venture in a 700 by 50. Now, Wilderness Trail Bikes was good enough to send me a couple of these because I'm curious. Now, you know, like 42s, I love them. For me, for where I live, I find them to be an excellent compromise in rolling performance and weight and flotation and traction, etc. I love them. I'm not going to run a smaller tire. Not for here. Is this too big though? I'm curious because I'm pretty sure this is going to fit pretty well in my Turner Cyclosis. I've measured. I think we're going to be good. David Turner did a really good job being generous with that bike. Thinking ahead maybe? I don't know. I'm going to mount these up. I want to see, because where is the line in the sand that we're going to draw for a gravel bike tire where it becomes basically, well, I might as well just be riding a mountain bike? I really don't know. But I think 700 by 50 is probably going to be that upper limit, because I think beyond that, at that point, you're going to start feeling a slowdown of a sense, depending upon where else you're riding your gravel bike. You're riding it uphill on the road somewhere, if you're running a 2.2, it's going to feel pretty darn slow. So, be interesting to see how these treat me. And that's coming up in a different video. So I don't know exactly where this is all going to end up, but I know the movement toward bigger and bigger tires, higher volume tires running at lower pressures, that is good for 99% of us that are out there riding our bikes for fun or for pleasure, even for competition. And we'll let the pros shake out what is truly, truly fast. Maybe there'll be a course correction. Maybe they'll move into a bigger tire and find out that, hey, this actually isn't faster. Well, we'll watch them. We'll see what they do. In the meantime, does that totally mean that's what we have to do? No, of course not. You can do whatever makes you happy. But here's the thing. You can't put a bigger tire in a bike where it won't fit. And if I'm kind of like the road bike product manager, if I was designing a gravel bike these days, and you know, it takes a couple years to get something in production and get it out there to you and me in our hands. If it can't take a 700 by 50, I think at some point you may not be selling as many gravel bikes as you'd like. Anyway, just some ramblings about what I see going on and some trends in the road and gravel bike industry. It's interesting times, isn't it? And I think we are going to, in the end, benefit from it with bikes that are more and more fun to ride. All right, that's it for this Tech Tuesday. Hey, I got a couple videos coming up you guys are going to enjoy. I've been doing some gravel events and some good rides on my own. That's coming up. What else is coming up? Oh, hey, check this out. Isn't that a cool t-shirt? It's from Old Man Mountain Racks. There's some neat people, you know, they've been around a long time making some very cool products. And I've got a sample of some of their racks for like bike packing and touring. That's on a project coming up you guys are definitely going to want to see. Stay tuned for that. I got a big box of parts in the garage. I'm going to start putting that on and showing you that stuff soon. All right, that's it for now. You guys have a great week and or weekend. Go ride your bikes.